What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are going over Polygon Matic, as its price is actually showing us some very strong signs of bullishness right now. So we're going to take a look at what's going on, what we need to see happen for this bullishness to continue, and why what we are seeing could actually lead to some pretty strong growth from Polygon Matic. Now, do understand that the world is in a very sensitive spot and fragile spot right now, and though these things are important, I do believe what's going on a broader sense is much more important, and what we are seeing in some of these different places of struggle at this point are having much bigger impacts on the price than just the pure technicals alone. So though I do think it is important to pay attention to what the price is doing, I definitely think you should also be pairing your technical analysis with just a general understanding and analysis of what is going on in the world, because if anything major does happen, it will affect these markets, so you cannot be ignoring that. Let me just put that disclaimer out there right now, okay? But purely focusing on the technical analysis of Polygon Matic right now, we are seeing some very strong setups and signs to say that if the bulls do start to step in, they could have a very significant impact. Looking at what we saw yesterday, we saw that we did see that very strong drive to the downside, of course, in which Matic did see as low as $1.25. But though we did see that wick down there, we actually did see the recovery of our macro Fibonacci, of course, the swing low to swing high. We did see the holding of the 0.786 on the daily close. We got daily close 1, 2, and currently we get our open and probably a close at this point, sitting above this level, which is a fantastic sign to say that the recovery and the holding of this level of support very possibly may be working, okay? Now, not only that though, we have a key level of support in which we have revisited now for the third time that is holding up here. That's been realistically relevant since September of 2021. Both of these levels of support do seem to be holding the price of Matic up at this point. And considering the fact that we are seeing some bullish indicators that I'm going to cover in a second here, that definitely does say that there is potential for Matic to start to work its way up with the right confirmations. Now, some of the bullishness on the indicators in which we can see is most notably going to be the drive of classical bullish divergence in which we are seeing. We could see here that on these two wick events, wick number 1 and wick number 2, we did get this drive of a lower low. But if we do look at our RSI at this point in terms of extension, we did get the higher low. What that says is that the trend may be getting exhausted for the bears. The bears may be struggling to push the momentum in the drive to the downside as far as they were once capable of. And though the price is starting to continue to set these lower highs, the overall momentum and the strength of the bears may be weakening, which is a fantastic sign for the bulls to say that they are maybe starting to turn the tide a bit. Now, if we do look at the daily MACD, one thing you can see as well is we are getting the possibility of a drive of some bullish convergence here. Now, what bullish convergence is going to be is when we start to see our blue line most simply working its way up through the orange line. Historically speaking, when we do see that happen, such as back here, that is usually a good sign that we may start to see a drive back to the upside, as we did see back there. Of course, another good example was what we saw back here, etc., etc. And so when you mix in the fact that we are seeing drives of bullish divergence and bullish convergence on both the daily RSI and the MACD, mixed in with the fact that we are seeing support being established and held quite well, you can start to see where this bullish mindset is coming from for the future of Matic. Now, what we need to see at this point, though, is although this is a good sign, it is in no way a confirmation. So the confirmation that I want to see from Matic at this point is the ability to get back above this very strong level of confluence, sitting right around $1.63. Now, that is going to be confirmation number 1. If we're capable of doing so, that means that this has been established as a bottom. Realistically, it looks like a bottom, but if we do continue at this point, we never really even set the higher high, and we are still setting some lower lows, lower highs, and we are likely continuing to the downside. If we are capable of really working our way back up past the most local high, which is again right around $1.63, I would go ahead and say that that gives us the full confirmation of this being the lower low at this point. And then from there, that does kind of say, okay, yeah, maybe that bullish divergence is true, and we may truly be starting to see a push back towards the upside. But realistically, although I do want to see us set that higher high, the best thing that we can wait for, in my opinion, is the clearing of this macro downtrend in which we've been in since December 26th of 2021. Every single time that we approach this level, we get rejected off of it and come back down to this key level of support. And so realistically, until we get back above this level, we have not done anything but regained lost ground. And although we are regaining some lost ground, we're not regaining all of it. And just getting back up to a level just to get rejected by it again and pushed to the downside isn't enough to make me want to start buying. So though I may take on a bit of a short-term trade from point A to point B on the short term again for Matic, realistically my larger accumulationary efforts will not come until we are capable of breaking the trend line. But based off the setup that we are seeing right now, of course, if the Bitcoin charts do allow and the just the current conditions of the world do kind of ease up a bit, I could foresee that the current indicators do give us the strength, and the bulls will have the power, in my opinion, to work their way back up to allow this move to happen. So definitely do stay tuned for this, and do keep a very close eye on these levels for Matic. Of course, if we do lose $1.43, it does become extremely likely again that we will push back towards $1.30, which will lose us this bottom side support for good this time, in my opinion. But if we are capable of working our way back up past $1.63, we very are likely going to come up to this trend line here, and then from there we need to be paying very close attention to if that breakout happens, because that will be the big sign that we are entering into a new phase of this market here for Matic. So of course it does sound like I'm saying it could go up or it could go down, and that is exactly what I'm saying. My goal here isn't to tell you what is going to happen, but to prepare you for either outcome and tell you where I think it will go based off of those outcomes. And of course, with that said, if you do want to stay as up to date as possible, I do post all of this information over in my Patreon. I posted this earlier today, in which we did talk about this bullish divergence and bullish convergence, and where I thought that the prices were going to be going if we lost something like $1.43. So if that is something that you would be interested in, and if you do want early access to this information as well as my trades, portfolios, and much more, do go down to the link in the description, in which I do talk about it in the Patreon. But if not, I always do continue to update you guys on the channel, so do feel free to subscribe, and I will try to update you as soon as possible. And with that being said, of course, hope you had a great day, and I will see you all next time. Peace.